This was owned by Chris Blackwell. It was called Island House, and he had several of his friends and associates who really lived there. Not like an apartment, but people who knew each other and, they're occupied downstairs and upstairs. Chris made this available for Bob to rehearse, and eventually, over time, Bob bought it from Chris.
Well, Rosses weren't allowed uptown, and until Bob moved in, there were no dreadlocks there.
A woman said to Bob, "How come you live at 56 Hope Road, which is 2 doors up from King's House, where the governor lives, and 3 doors up from Jamaica House, where the Prime Minister lives?" And Bob just said, "Sister, I bring the ghetto uptown." One of the people who lived here prior to Bob was Cindy Breakspear, and she lived there with her brother Reds.
I love the accommodation because I love the old house with the wooden floors, and it was just lovely, cool and breezy, and it was great. There's always a stream of people up and down and shouting and laughter and just general carrying on. You were right in the mix. The most important thing culturally that was happening in Jamaica at that time was happening right there. That was the headquarters. That was the center of it all. Bob never left 56 Hope Road. People come from all over the world to see him.
Did you live at Hope Road with your dad?
No, we lived probably a couple of miles from Hope Road.
Right.
Because Hope Road was really, I don't know, was a spot.
Rasta is an open door thing. Nobody not checking your credentials. So all kind of people coming to Hope Road. Good, bad, and indifferent.
Every time you go to 56 Hope Road, you would see a lot of people gather with Bob, reasoning, talking about politics, talking about God, talking about history, talking about everything.
Bob was very strict, and we run this thing like an army. We call him Skipper. This is the thing is, we had certain strict rules at that time. Woman supposed to wear a dress, not pants. So you had those kind of come with a word for what we call wall paint, lipstick and eyeshadow. This is a root, so you kind of, if you don't come on Rasta, then you have to throw away those Babylonian things.
It was a camp with rules and doctrines and tenets to live by, and it was serious.
Bob was very health conscious in them foods.
The blender would always be going with excellent juices, Irish moss on the fire, fish tea going, everything to make you strong.
When I met him and I started the routine. My routine was getting up in the mornings, train, do a lot of running, exercise, go to the beach. So it became an integral part of our lifestyle.
The whole Rasta thing is based on eternal life and taking care of your body is the temple of the Lord. And we'd run on the beach and then up this mountain to a place called Cane River Falls. It's an incredible waterfalls. I shot some video up there.
Cane River, we went up there really to get the waterfall. Heat on your back and thing. It's like the best massage you can get. This spot we're standing on now was the stadium. This was a football field. So we had 2 goalposts, small scrimmage. The most we ever played was 5-a-side scrimmage. So you had one there, then we had one down the back here. So I said, maybe, wow, that's a small field when you look at it. Probably was 40 yards. In everything that Bob does, very competitive. So everything he really gave it 110%.
He had a passion. Everything I did with a ball, he would try to do it.
He just didn't play for the fun of it. And this was part of the process, you know. Because before he writes a song, you burn a split, then you go run so you can liven up yourself, and then you get more inspired so the lyrics can come out.
But tell you the truth, you like play everywhere. Anywhere it is possible, you know.
He began to come and visit. You just hear these footsteps come running up the steps in the evening hours when the football was over and the place kind of quiet down, you know? And there's nobody to really see the little moves that you're making. Because in the day, the place is teeming with people, so you can't be too overt because you'll be outed instantly.
I understand you're married. Are you married?
No. You see, I can't deal with the Western ways of life. If I must live by law, it must be the laws of His Majesty. If it's not the laws of His Majesty, then I can make my own law. I saw Miss Brown. She had brown sugar. All over her. Think I might join the fun, but I had to kick it out. See, I just can't settle down. In King Water Town. Right on.
When did you first meet Bob?
I see Bob every day. Bob live on 2nd Street, I live on 1st Street. I would take no notice of him because he would bother me. And I would go and tell my mother.
How old were you?
16.
What did he do when he paid you attention?
Like stuff like don't give it away, I'm growing you. Remember don't have any boyfriend before me and stuff.
Was he charming?
Oh yeah.
Why were so many girls attracted to him?
Oh my God. You don't know Bob. That's a handsome guy.
People have visions of women beating down the door to get involved, Marley, and grabbing clothes. Is it like that?
Why was he so successful with women?
Because he was shy. Bob is not the womanizer that people make him into. I think more the woman came at him.
Was he faithful?
To who? God. Jah. Yes, he was faithful to Jah. Faithful to any one woman? No. But somebody want him? What is fidelity? Western idea that, ring in your finger, ring through your nose. That's for Western men. You can only handle one woman at a time, but can handle more.
One day, a lady came to me and she said, "Didn't anyone tell you that Bob was married?" And I didn't know.
For a time there, I never knew that he was legally married. I did come to know, eventually his mom told me.
Did he see Rita at all at that time?
Sure. I mean, they worked together, toured the world together. When we were on tour, Rita had her own room. She was not with Bob. She would see everything that goes on, but she had maximum respect for the work.
How did you cope for all the years that you were married together and Bob was having these relationships with other women?
I became his guardian angel. By that time, I was past the surface of being just a wife because of the importance of who I knew Bob is. I didn't see it as a fun trip. We were on a mission. It was like an evangelist campaign to bring people closer to Jah.
They have this bond, I wouldn't. I mean, you know, as my husband, I wouldn't.
We never thought about women. We never get into that. He would come and say to me, Rita, I did this, or this is what happened. I was the one that he would call to get women out of his dressing room when you get to that stage. Come up from my room, come and get these people out of it. And I would do that gracefully. Come on, ladies, it's bedtime. We have a show tomorrow, so
She wouldn't get upset, you know, but there are times when you know she was hurting, hurt all of us, and that's what he didn't like. He didn't like it when like we knew that she was hurt and it showed on us. That's when okay, we're going for ice cream, we're going for burgers. What do you want?
Do you think that he was being selfish?
yes, it's not fair to no woman. That is not fair at all, but we still couldn't hate him for it.
In the capital of Kingston, there are rival shantytown ghettos where whole communities are divided along sectarian lines. These zones are controlled by the Prime Minister's People's National Party, who are accused of being communists, or by the opposition Jamaica Labour Party, who are accused of being fascists.
Politics in Jamaica at that time was like an East-West confrontation, which was scary. You have one side which is kind of more ultra-conservative right wing, which is was like Reagan's man in the Caribbean. And then Manley was trying to work a system called democratic socialism, which the other party say that's just a disguise for saying you're a communist.
Sometimes it's only insults or stones and bottles thrown from one side and the other, but often it's bombs and bullets. And almost every day, the newspapers carry fresh reports of the previous day's killings in Kingston.
The whole thing became like a gangster thing, political gangster.
These were the guys who kept things in line for the MPs. You know, so you find that in some areas, the real power is the enforcers.
You like this girl, just both of us. You like her and I like her. We start fighting about it. It's just that. You like PNP, you like JLP. You want to fight for your PNP. Bob was friends with all of those guys. All of the bad guys are from the Labour Party was Bob's friend. Likewise, all the bad guys are from the PNP.
These are guys that come from the same neighborhood he grew up with. These are really bad guys. Because you might see some guys and then tomorrow you take up the Jamaican paper. You see the 10 most wanted list. 4 of the guys that were around every day. There are 5. Some of them actually love the music, you know, but their main thing is warfare and badness, you know.
When you have political violence, the youth fighting against the youth for the politicians, then I really feel sick. So if I know them really doing anything good for the people, it's divide and rule.
Bob did a concert with Stevie Wonder in Jamaica, and they actually performed 2 songs together. I think Very Superstitious, which Bob knew, and I Shot the Sheriff. Stevie made a gesture by giving, I think, half of his pay for the show to the Salvation Army Blind School in Jamaica. And I think Bob was moved by that. And Bob said, well, we'll give a free concert. They took that idea to Michael Manley, who was just down the road, the Prime Minister. And they were like enthused about it.
Bob Marley, the world's leading exponent of reggae music, has agreed to appear in a major free concert to be held for the benefit of the Jamaican people in Kingston on Sunday, December 5th. The announcement was made at a press conference held at Jamaica House by Marley, his manager Don Taylor, and the parliamentary secretary in charge of cultural information, Arnold Bertram.
Well, I think he got tricked into it because he rang me and asked me if I thought he should do the concert. And I said, well, if it's a prime minister, then you're doing it for the country. But if there's going to be an election soon, then you're doing it for him rather than the country.
2 weeks following that announcement, on November 22nd, Jamaica's Prime Minister Michael Manley called new general elections for December 15th.
If we knew that election was going to happen in that space of time, we'd have never done that concert.
No, I never support no Michael Manley government, you know? Never.
So in the upcoming election, you don't really want to think about or care who wins?
Election? You know what I mean? Whoever wins, when there's the problem.
I remember Bob is becoming very popular. And whoever side Bob seems to be on, that's the side people going to be on.
Hell, Bob had a lot of control down there in Jamaica, man. You know, and the politicians didn't like that.
Bob, I think, had overexposed himself on the political side. And that was bound to draw the anger of some others because he had friends on both sides. Because the thing was like, you have to be on one side. You have to be on some side. You can't be in the middle. Because you can get it.
We feel little kind of tension, but you know, the politics kind of get hot.
There were people saying that they heard that they were going to shoot up the concert.
People in the group, you know, the musicians and the Iron Threes, you know, every day as it would get closer to this day of the concert, people was feeling hesitant about doing it. They had a fear for it.
Every night, there would be rehearsal at 56 Oakwood for the concert.
We usually had two guys from equivalent to the Secret Service. They call it the Protective Service. They like protect the Prime Minister and stuff. And they used to come every night, but they never came that night.
We had took a break, so everybody was kind of floating around. Don Taylor, Bob, and myself was in the kitchen.
While I was in the car now getting ready to come out, I see some men going up the steps.
The gunman approached from the side here and kind of pushed his gun through here.
Well, you see a black glove with a gun in it, pointing up, you know, and there was nowhere else to go in the kitchen because we was like at the wall.
And then I heard the gunshots.
Then they turned the gun on the car. I felt the warmness, the blood running down. Then I realized I was shot.
The cat just kept on shooting, man, till he ran out of bullets.
The one holding the gun to my head, and one said to the other one, "Everybody dead?" And they said, "Yeah, man, everybody dead, everybody dead."
Next thing I see Don Taylor come out, man, and like blood pouring out of like ketchup, man. And then he finally collapsed right there in the floor. I'm like, man.
And I'm shouting out for Bob, and then I heard a voice who I recognized as Carly Barrett coming from. He said, "Bob is all right. Bob is all right." He had a burn right at the gun travel right here, and actually lodged with his arm.
It's just a miracle, man, that nobody died from that, man.
It wasn't really a profession.
Well, as professional as Jamaica is, they watch a lot of movies.
Here now is a special item of news. Entertainer and reggae star Bob Marley, Rita Marley, and the manager of the Wailers, Don Taylor, are now patients in the University Hospital after receiving gunshot wounds during a shooting incident tonight.
I knew he was gunshot. No, I never seen a man who fired a shot. somebody feel like Smile Jamaica concert shouldn't go on, so I'm trying to stop it.
That's one thing for sure. That they was trying to stop that concert from happening.
The whole thing about whether the concert was going to happen or not, there was so much pressure. There was pressure from everywhere. I was just scared Bob would get assassinated.
In the twilight inside the arena, the crowd is fenced off, and armed police are positioned all around the park. 5 hours after the concert was due to begin, the star, Bob Marley, is still not there.
Someone tried to say, Bob, don't go. They didn't get you, they may try for you again.
Everyone said, "You really want to do it, boss?" And he said yes.
I said, hey, I'm with you, man. Yeah, you want to do it, let's do it.
The police came for him and took him down, and we were in the car right behind the police vehicle.
When I got there, I could believe the situation there. At night in Kingston, you got like 80,000 people there, you know what I mean? If somebody wanted to try to get you, it's like a perfect situation. But it was a special night, man. It was a special moment, man.
About fearing his chest and showing his bones. The crowd end up for me. What Jamaican now then? A man want to survive a gunfight.
Bob was not afraid. Bob knew that if anything happens while he's doing his work, he know that the Almighty God is protecting him.
If you lack faith before then, you could not deny it after that, man.
I have to really ask you about the shooting. Somebody said to me it was either the JLP thinking that you were supporting the PNP, or it was the PNP thinking you supported the JLP. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think it was the devil, you know. But God protect, you know.
I mean, they could try to shoot at you again.
Yeah. Or just to be mostly. After the shooting, he was, I wouldn't say scared, but does hurt. Too hurt to face Jamaica.
I was the one who escaped with him out of Jamaica after the shooting. Yeah, me and him. Didn't say a word the whole way through.
We went to Nassau first, and then he went on to London.
I think he just wanted to take a break. He wanted to not be looking over his shoulder. He wanted not to be dealing with the problem, not dealing with the controversy. He just wanted some free headspace to work, to make music, to tour.
Who moved immediately into Chelsea area, Oakley Street. It was a great experience because we're all together in this house.
Well, on each floor there was a different musician. There was Tyrone Downey on one floor, Compton Barrett on another floor, Family Man Barrett on another floor, Alvin Seco Patterson on another floor. Neville Garrick, I think, was in the basement sharing with somebody.
We're a stone throw from Battersea Park Bridge. Once we went over the bridge, then you had the football field. Because we even played against some national front guys. We whooped them a couple times.
Did he feel like he was in exile?
Yeah. But Bob was like deeply into creation of music. That's how I think he satisfied his soul.
Bob, life was spared. He was very happy to be alive. So John gave him another chance.
He was also confronted by his mortality. And when you think that these might be your last opportunities to do anything, you place a greater value on every moment, every second of every moment of every day. There's no time. We've got no time to lose.
He slept basically about 4 hours a day. And he was always writing a song. And, you know, he'd be up all night writing. And he'd go, I'd say, oh, Bob, I got to go get some sleep now. He'd go, oh, just half an hour more. Half an hour would turn into 4 hours. You know?
Bob liked to write early in the morning. Come in the morning and have this gravelly voice, you know, like kind of Rod Stewart-ish kind of thing.
You would be working out the melody, and then the lyrics would come after.
Would that leave you there? There's nothing I could say. It happens every day. Children mark my words. It's what the Bible says.
And Miss World 1976 is Miss Jamaica.
And the royal on the ball is in uproar. Incredible Cindy Breaksteer, the 21-year-old hotel operator, gets the sash. I think she's as overwhelmed as anyone.
At the time I won Miss World, Bob was not yet a household name in England, but because he was now tied to me, and Miss World was definitely a household name, we complimented each other very nicely.
Cindy completely overwhelmed by the emotional moment and will Vivian Merced crowns the new Miss World 1976.
It was considered quite
outrageous.
Yeah, that's a good word. Outrageous works. But I loved achievement, you know. He loved achievement. I don't think there's a man alive who doesn't want to get the girl. So
Would he have liked it if you had become a wrestler?
yes, I think he would have liked it. Things would always come up. How you present yourself as a woman, what's appropriate, where, cover your head, this, that. Here I am on the train coming in from all parts out of London. And you know, they've got this tiny little triangular sink in the bathroom on the train. And I'm washing all the makeup off. Anyway, one night I wasn't able to do that. And I came home in full regalia, red nails, fur coat, fully made up. And no sooner than I walked through the front door and closed it, he walked in behind. I turned around, looked at me and said, I catch you.
And treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right
Exodus was huge. That was our biggest album ever there. Just mash up Europe and it's tearing down America. They're waiting for us.
And then the American tour was cancelled because Bob was having problems with his toe.
Somebody stepped on it with their spike boots. And then it started to get infested because Bob would still play football the next day on it. And the next day.
And that went on for some time before they realized what it really was.
They came up with the definitive diagnosis of melanoma.
And they tested and they found out that that was more like a white person sort of sickness. It wasn't coming from a black source. It was the whiteness in him that allowed it to get this bad.
What did they recommend he should do about it?
They recommended disarticulation at the hip. In other words, remove the entire leg.
The doctor in England told him to cut his whole leg off. Do you remember that?
No. Had to cut off his toe. It was definitely not his leg.
A lot of people told Bob that once you cut your toe off, your big toe especially, you won't be able to dance anymore.
He loved football. So I think the thought of having his toe amputated was just unacceptable to him.
So this other doctor who we saw in Miami said, no, it's not necessary. You can just take a portion of it. You don't have to remove the whole toe. You can just take off the whole nail bed and, it wouldn't be necessary.
He got very bad advice from the people that was around him.
Until the philosophy which owns one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. Well, everywhere is war, is war. And until there's no longer first class nor second class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance to the color of the skies, I've got to say war. War in the east, war in the west, war in the north, war outside.
There was a movement to bring Bob back because it was felt that he had the potential to heal the very strong division that existed.
The government was begging because they said Jamaica is lost without Bob Marley. We can't say Bob is in exile. So they got one of their main leaders, Claude Massa, to speak to Bob.
This guy, he was from the other side of the party, Claude Massa. And the next one named Take Life. I don't remember his right name, but we called him Take Life. They went up to England to pursue Bob to come down, back to Jamaica.
Bob sent for them in a way to come up, and so they would be on away from Jamaica, away from that political influence, and they could reason among themselves.
The two guys who went up there for him was on the opposition. So I would represent the other side. So if he say, I don't come, then he ain't coming back to Jamaica. So I have to go to England.
Of those people, how many are still alive?
One you're speaking to.
Come together and make it work. I'm telling that we can make it work.
Bob started doing that song, which is we Jah people shall come together and make it work. Then they decided have a concert. Let us have a peace concert.
Last month, a truce was arranged between the rival political factions in Kingston, Jamaica. A peace conference was arranged to be preceded by a peace concert for the people in a very large park. They expect over 100,000 people there. Bob Marley was invited to headline this peace concert. Marley has accepted and will return to Kingston, Jamaica. Bob, why are you returning to Jamaica?
Well, my life not important to me, but other people's life important. My life is only important if me can help plenty people. If my life is just me, my own security, then I don't want it. My life is for people. That's where me is.
Loads of people went out to the airport. They stormed the runway.
When the plane landed, they jumped over the barriers and ran towards the plane, which is similar to what happened when Haile Selassie came to Jamaica.
It was amazing to see this stadium, 50,000 people. People who were opposed politically were sitting beside each other.
To make everything come true, we got to be together. Yeah. Yeah. And through the spirit of the Most High, imperial majesty, and bright eyes last eye, run fighting. People of the slave, to shake hands, show the people of right, show the people that's gonna unite, show the people of right, show the people that everything is alright.
I actually played the wrong note. He started singing, what's what you're doing? Everybody thought he was trying to tell the people out there, you gotta watch what you're doing, but he was really talking to me.
It was very spiritual. This is like, hey.
Could we have up here on stage here the presence of Mr. Michael Marley and Mr. Edward Seattle. I just want to shake hands and show the people that we're gonna be alright. We're gonna unite. We're gonna be alright. We got to unite. Get.
He didn't plan it at all. It was spontaneous.
Anything could have happened at that point. I was just praying that the people didn't get foolish and start shooting again.
There was no preachment or anything like that. He just took our hands and a few words, held it up above his head, And at that moment, everybody was one.
He was able to do that. He was able to bring people together in that way. The same half uptown, half downtown, half black, half white. It's that marriage of everything. He just embodied it all in one person.
As his career grew, so grew the better education and the better car and a bigger house with more rooms. But my father would always take us back to Trenchtown. Sometime Bob would go down the ghetto and, pass through and thing like that. Would never lock his car out. God, that's like saying you don't trust people.
Do you make a lot of money out of your music?
Money. I mean, how much is a lot of money to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. Have you made, say, millions of dollars?
No.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what do you mean?
You have a lot of possessions, a lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life forever.
Cope Road was always swarming with people, and for the same reason. Looking for an opportunity, looking for some money, looking for a handout, need a job, my children's school fees, on and on and on.
You have lines every day at Hope Road. People from all walks, they bring the baby, they bring the kids, and you have long lines, and you just hand out. And he doesn't just give like pittance, he'll give you enough that you can start something.
A couple of years ago, no one would have believed that this raggle-taggle tribe of Jamaican musicians would be packing Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens. It's a sign of reggae's growing acceptance in the international pop music scene. It's also catapulted this man, Bob Marley, to superstardom.
Bob once made a statement, he said, they asked him how big you think this music will get, and Bob says, this music will get bigger and bigger and bigger till it reaches right people, which to me is the whole world.
Yes, come a long way.
I watched from 200 speakers to 1,000, and then I saw 80,000. I saw 100,000.
We tore up Europe. We played to like maybe 2 million people in 6 weeks. We broke everybody's record over there. Rolling Stone down.
Oh yeah.
In the concert in Tokyo, 4,000 people. Everybody's total Japanese, singing every song word for word.
Most of them could not even understand. They spoke a different language, but they felt the music and they knew what he was saying.
Light me up yourself in the morning time.
The media lied and said that Bob smoked a pound a day. And so everywhere we went, the police was on our heels, and they would search our belongings with a fine-tooth comb. You would see police with dogs on the bus searching, but every time they searched, they never found anything. So they didn't bother with us again.
Towards the latter years, they're more like yapping posters, like and record. So we basically just came up with a passport, a whole bunch of records and posters, and they just stopped.
One of his main concern was that he wasn't reaching the black people. You know, he's noticed all the shows were all white, every show. So that kind of was puzzling to him.
I was in Nigeria and came back and told him about the response of the people to him in Nigeria who had never seen him with just the music. And he couldn't believe it. I said, yes, I'm serious. I said, I'm really waiting for you. As a matter of fact, if you go to Africa, you really might not come back.
C'est la première fois que je le rencontrais en 79 aux États-Unis. Et quand on est arrivé backstage, quand il m'a vu, il m'a dit oh, tu es vilaine. Et j'étais choquée. Je me suis dit je ne connais pas le monsieur ne me connaît pas, il me dit que je suis vilaine. En fait, j'ai compris après, c'est parce que j'avais les cheveux défrisés. Donc, comme une rasta, tout doit être naturel. Ensuite, on a demandé s'il pouvait venir au Gabon pour l'anniversaire de mon père. C'est ce qu'on a fait, il est venu en janvier.
Her father was the president of Gabon.
We didn't know he was a dictator when we went, but we found out, and it was like, okay, we're here, it's too late, let's just play. And his daughter was in love with Bob.
C'était quelqu'un de direct, de simple, d'humble. Bon, quand vous tombez amoureux de quelqu'un, vous ne réfléchissez pas, ça arrive.
To Bob, Africa is the motherland, you know, and he loved Jamaica, but he was in transit. Africa was the destination.
You know, when you die and go to heaven, you have to live. Then Africa is our heaven, because that's where we come from.
Il y a quelqu'un qui est allé vers mon père, oh là là, il ne faut pas recevoir Bob Marley, c'est un révolutionnaire, c'est pas bien. C'est mon frère qui l'a reçu. Allez. La première chose, très bien. Mais le public gabonais il n'applaudissait pas. On s'est dit, aïe, il y a un problème, il n'aime pas. Toute la foule était autour de nous. J'ai dit, ça y est, ils vont me tuer, ils vont casser la voiture. Mais curieusement, tous les jeunes ont entouré la voiture. Ils criaient son nom, Rastaman, Rastaman, Rastaman.
Everywhere we went, the kids were running beside the bus and waving and hollering, "Bye Marley, ganja, ganja." We said, "Whoa."
Il était à la plage souvent avec les jeunes qui disaient qu'ils ne comprenaient pas, qui lui demandaient qu'est-ce que Rasta veut dire, quelle est cette philosophie, et qu'est-ce qu'ils pensent, qu'est-ce que l'Afrique doit faire, est-ce que la révolution, enfin, toutes les questions des jeunes. Mais je crois qu'il a eu beaucoup d'impact sur les jeunes de Libreville, beaucoup.
Bob asked me to find out from Pascaline how much money we were actually paid. And what she told me was a lot more money than what Bob was told by Doc.
Bob Marley s'est fâché, son manager avait surfacturé. Donc pour lui, comme l'Afrique était importante, aller en Afrique, il était choqué que pour la première fois qu'il met pied en Afrique, que quelque chose comme ça arrive.
Kick him down. Let the cross of the woman. Kick him down.
Yeah, that's how I'm kicking his ass. In fact, we questioned him for almost 3 hours that night on tape.
We were on the 23rd floor and they kind of held on outside the window for a minute.
I would ask him the same question, like maybe half an hour later, and he answered different. And Bob said, Garrett, rewind. Play. And this wasn't you said that boy. Slap him a couple times.
It was the policy of keeping Africans in their place, which by 1965 made Rhodesia illegal in the eyes of the world.
I don't believe in black majority rule ever in Rhodesia. Not in 1,000 years.
Bob wrote a song called Zimbabwe. Matthew Washington and Zimbabwe. I liberate Zimbabwe. And when the song got to Zimbabwe, the freedom fighters embraced that as their anthem.
They got their independence. Finally, they got their independence. And they sent representatives here to Jamaica to ask Bob to perform.
They wanted to come, and when they saw the cost, they said they couldn't afford it.
And so Bob Marley used his own money and shipped equipment, I think from London, to Zimbabwe. You had dignitaries from all over the world.
I, Robert Gabriel Mugabe, do swear that I will well and truly serve Zimbabwe in the office of Minister of the Government. So help me God.
Midnight, the exact moment of independence. As Prince Charles, Governor Soames, and hundreds of visiting heads of government and VIPs from around the world watched, the new flag was raised, Robert Mugabe's government assumed power, and Zimbabwe was born.
It was the first time anybody in Zimbabwe had heard anything like this. When the first song started, the 90,000 people outside who couldn't get in decided to come in.
People will fight you down when you see satellite. Let me tell you, if you're not...
It was the freedom fighters heard Bob Marley inside the stadium and they are locked out, not being able to go in, and they just flat the fence. So being there on stage, I remember I was the first person to smell something unusual. It was tear gas.
There was this strange sensation that was burning our throats, and it felt as if we were going to die. We didn't know what it was, and we felt that we would leave Jamaica and come all the way to Zimbabwe to leave our kids and just die. So Britta, Marcy, and I, we ran off the stage, and the musicians were coming off one by one. But Bob was still in his element, and I guess he didn't even realize what was happening.
That just opened my eyes to know that this man was ready to go down with his people. Whatever the reason was, Bob didn't run nowhere.
So when we got back on stage with Bob, this is what Bob said to us. Now I know who are the true revolutionaries.
And I think that was one of those highlights of my dream for him. He was at home.
Did Bob want to reach a black audience in America?
Oh, of course he did. Bob, until he died, he did. The last concert in New York was to try to get African American R&B airplay in America. Bob had a cult following in America, and when you go to a Bob Marley concert, it was sold out, but it was white.
Yeah, the black people never gonna responded. It was always a big thing. We always talked about it. We always wondered why.
So Frankie Crocker, the #1 jock in the country, said that I got a concert with Commodore. We'll guarantee you 3 months of airplay if Bob would open for the Commodore. We said, you got to be crazy. The Commodore should be opening the show for Bob Marley, not in reverse. I went back to Bob, and Bob said, no problem.
Would you be and be loved? Would you be and be loved? Don't let them fool you. Or even try to school you.
When we did the Madison Square Garden show, that night was history. Every single one that was in the audience stood on their feet to acknowledge this man. I think the doors of America was open to Bob right there.
Next thing, we were out in Central Park jogging, and we was going up this hill, and all of a sudden he stumbled, and he laid him down on the side of the trail, and he started shaking, and he had foaming at the mouth. And I said, and I looked at him, looked real strange, and the guys gathered around him. They said something in patois, and he hollered Rastafari and jumped up off the ground, scared me to death. I mean, he was there shaking his foam, and next thing I know, he's jumped up.
We took him to the hospital next door to my house. The doctor told Alan and me that Bob Marley had cancer and that it had spread.
He had cancer all over his body, lungs, brain, all over the place. It's incredible that he was able to keep working.
But the doctor told us that we shouldn't do anything, that we should just let him stay on the concert tour, that he was so strong and powerful that one day he was going to walk out on stage and he was going to fall dead. But that he could not be treated and he could not be helped.
How did he take the news? I mean, how
Bad. He took the news bad.
I knew he'd had problem with his toe before that, but I'd forgotten about it. I think everybody seemed to have forgotten about it. Because if he'd been going to regular checkups. You know, he might be around today, but
He doesn't get his checkups.
no.
The next stop was Pittsburgh, and we were waiting for Bob to come on the bus for all of us to drive to Pittsburgh, and we never saw Bob.
Finally, he arrived and he was looking very, very stressed. I remember. And we went to do a sound check. And I remember we did the sound check with one song. And we did that song for maybe 2 or 3 hours. I'm hurting inside.
It's the longest sound check we have ever had. It just felt like, why? We didn't understand.
We had a meeting before the show, half an hour before the show, and we were told by Alan Cole that this was going to be our last concert. And of course, we were all like in shock.
Before we went on stage, he said to me, I want you to stay pretty close in case anything stops. I'm saying to him, nothing's going to happen to you, man. Everything's going to be all right. But he said, stay close in case, just in case you got a seizure.
I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you right.
He put on a show, but it wasn't the same. He didn't have the same energy. But the people kept him pumped up because there's so many people in the audience, and they were Bob, Bob.
They called for an encore, and I said, "Lord, I wonder if he can do it." And he went out and he did the encore. He did about 4 songs. And they called for another encore. And I'm saying, Jesus, I wonder if he's going to fall out on this one. But he did it. He did it. And that was the last time we performed on stage together.
I was with him the whole time in New York when he was being treated at Sloan Kettering. I was with him every day. I was with him when he was getting chemo and his locks fell out.
Weight of the locks was just too heavy. The few hairs that were still holding was beginning to be really uncomfortable, and he decided to cut it. That was quite a night. It was myself, Rita, a group of us women. We lit candles and we were reading from the Bible. We were reading the book of Job. And God.
I said to him, you going for the rude boy look? And he laughed. It was funny. But it was really, really sad. The saddest thing I can ever remember.
That was the first time I saw him, like without his hair, you know, and he looked like so tiny.
So listen, we're gonna fight it. All right, regardless of what the doctors might say or what they might do, we're gonna fight it. Rasta never give up.
Left to me, I would have said, Bob, come home to St. Anne, come eat roast fish and callaloo every day. Smoke the biggest spliff you feel like. Drink fish tea. Just do what you want. And if you end up in the same place at the end of it all, at least you will have had some comfort in your last months on this earth and being in the place that you really, really wanted to be in. But we girls didn't have much talk in those days, you know. The men made the decisions.
just a rabbi, sold light to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs.
He was living in a house just down the road, was actually in walking distance from the clinic. But I mean, you had to put boots on halfway up your thigh to get through the snow.
I'm telling you, I had to wear dark glasses because it was so white. The lake was frozen 3 feet deep. You could drive a car over it. I said, this is a fridge where they keep people alive. No, Rata Egron, I'll never forget that.
Dr. Yosef Issels was the ultimate in holistic therapy at that time. But what made him more interesting was the only doctor who had actually cured a melanoma on the planet Earth.
Ja, zuerst hat er sich auch über den wunderschönen Winter gefreut. Denn es war ja wirklich ein Traumwinter. War ja ganz glatzköpfig. Mit einer dicken Hummelmütze. Es stand ein Funke über. Bobby, Bobby, habe ich gesagt. Woran erinnere ich mich? An seine Duldsamkeit, seine Fügsamkeit in alles, was wir mit ihm machen. Er war immer freundlich.
I went to Germany for his 36th birthday. I know Rita was there, Cindy was there, his mom was there. Was kind of frustrating in a sense because I know the type of person Bob is and didn't want us to see him in that state. Bob had a stroke, I think, on the left side. So he was frustrated he couldn't finger the guitar.
So when you left him, you thought he might get better?
Yeah, I was definitely hoping. Well, he was trying to tell me that he's going to beat this thing, you know. Beat this thing.
I understand that writers and people in the press are very concerned about my health. I want to say thank you for your interest and that I'll be all right and I'll be back on the road again in 1981. Recording, performing with the fans we love. Beautiful. You know, Bob talking to you, don't have no doubt. See? Good.
Ja, zuerst ging es ihm noch recht gut, gell? Aber, ja, die gewisse Krankheit ging halt voran, die ging weiter.
I think people then started going after his wealth. I think that it become a bloodthirsty type situation where people knew he was going to die, and they just surrounded him.
That's why Bob never write a will, I feel. Bob never want to give up. See, it's like when you write a will, it's like you say, well, you know, I'm checking in. So I think that was one of the reasons. I think one of the reasons too is not the type of person who would say, no, okay, I leave this for Ziggy, so that, you know, like divide up and, okay, what should I leave for Seco or Nevland, Carly? That's not Bob. But the Bob I know, by leaving it open like that, everybody revealed who they really were. You get me? Who really did love him, who fighting over the money. Yeah, man, him just say, but that's how he is. Bob left it open.
the doctor said that he couldn't do anything more for Bob. And if we were going to leave, we'd have to do it within 48 hours. So I said, well, I'm on my way back. I'm coming back to Germany this week. And he said, no, don't come. He's coming to Miami. We decided, that we just rent a plane. You know. But boy, no, if it's a Concorde. I said, no Concorde. So I brought up all the kids from who was in Jamaica. Some are not my kids, some from other mothers. So I gathered everyone and said, come to see you all.
I remember me and Ziggy were sitting outside and some preacher guy came from Jamaica. Another one came from the Ethiopian church. And I'm telling Ziggy, I'm like, Ziggy's going to be all right, Because, I mean, look how many people are praying.
My memory was going to the intensive care unit door and people going like this, looking through the window, like going. And him lay down there and him kind of see me and him go, come. So I went in, I went beside him and he said, him said like, well, I'm young Bob, but what's up, young Bob? And I have a song for you, him said, I have a song for you. And him sing a couple lines of the song, on your way up, take me up, on your way down, don't let me down.
Like the one time you're kind of hoping you can have him for yourself? And it wasn't supposed to happen again,
Selassie is the power of the Trinity. Build your mind on this direction. Serve the living God and live. Living God, living God and live. Take your troubles to Selassie. Is the only King of Kings. King of Kings. King of Kings. Conquering Lion of Judah. Triumphantly, we all must sing. All must sing. All must sing. I search and I search. Great book of man. In the revelation Hail Selassie is the time.